Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Perspective. As far as intolerance is concerned, certainly as far as politics particularly, we've seen intolerance seep into politics. Of course, we can compare to a politics of the 90s, but are we going backwards? That is perhaps a question we all need to reflect on. Politics has certainly become, one has to say, a very intolerant profession, generally speaking. Across the board, dialogue is becoming difficult. Agreeing to disagree in a civil manner is becoming extremely difficult as far as particularly in the political arena is concerned. And of course, this is having a spillover effect into other areas of life also, where we've gotten to a point where discussion becomes extremely difficult. I want to particularly talk about this, what has contributed to this, the role that different political parties have particularly played as far as this whole intolerance is concerned. We'll be talking about that, all of that today on Perspective. I have with me Mustafa Baloch from the BPP. Thank you for joining us. We also have with us Naveed Aman, who's a senior analyst. Thank you for being with us. And we have with us Dr. Hamid Almashriqi, who is a political analyst. Thank you for being with us. Ji, Mustafa Sahab, generally speaking, politics has become a profession. I don't know if one can call it that really, but politics has by and large become an area where talking and across the board agreeing or disagreeing is becoming extremely difficult. Would you agree with that?
Well, Mahrukh, unfortunately, in recent years, we have seen a lot of toxicity in politics. And the way people have been polarized, even institutions have been polarized by certain, narratives which have created a division between people. So I think this is not something which Pakistan needs at this hour. The way we have been facing the economic crisis, and even as you saw, there has been a question on law and order situation where we saw a very devastating attack in Peshawar and then in Karachi. So at this time we need a political consensus. It is the need of the hour that people from all walks of life and maybe be in politics or be in professional field, they need to at least have some common agenda to give a roadmap for the coming generation, because this is not the way where Pakistan can move forward. We need a common plan. We need a common roadmap, because constant battle in political arena is not healthy for any democratic country.
Let me come back to you on that note. Naveed Sahab, intolerance generally, I think what Mustafa Sahab is saying, I think he's generally, of course, it's very important to be able to have some dialogue. And of course, from time to time, we have spoken about the fact that economy, for there to be some kind of dialogue is essential for any kind of development in the country. If you talk about economy, you talk about security, like Abdullah Sahab is also talking about, it's important to talk. Even the opposition needs to talk, but we are not anywhere near that. We are at a time where we are name calling, we are abusing. The discourse has become polluted, so to speak. Do you think it's ever going to get better before, or is it going to get much worse before it gets better? What is your overall perception?
In fact, tolerance is very important in any country or the society or in the politics in particular. We are talking about the tolerance in politics specifically. In fact, the politicians should talk on national issues, on international issues within the parliament, and those which are not in the parliament should keep on talking or should encourage discussions or negotiations out of the parliament. Parliament, in fact, is the main forum where the national and international issues should be discussed in a very decent manner.
And of course, the presumption is that the country's interests override your personal interests, your personal should override your personal likes and dislikes. But that doesn't really seem to be happening.
Whether the interests are personal or the national, these the tolerance is the major thing which should be kept in mind. But unfortunately, within the course of 5, 6 years,
Hmm.
with the emergence of Imran Khan in the politics in particular,
Hmm.
the tolerance level have gone on the lowest level.
Hmm.
I would say on the zero level,
Hmm.
which is very harmful for the country, for the nation, for the democracy in the country, and it has given very bad name on the international level as well.
Hmm.
So, what I think, if we don't um, um, if we don't go for the dialogue or for the solution of the issues, we'll not be in the position to make very good name in the world.
Hmm.
We'll have to go for the dialogues.
Let me go to Dr. Hamid. Dr. Hamid, can you hear me?
Yes, of course, I can hear you. I can hear
Dr.
you.
Hamid?
Yes, yes. Can you hear me?
Dr. Hamid, overall, as far as what is your opinion about this? You think that, of course, to be able to agree, to disagree, all of those things are important, but particularly for us as a country, we are at a juncture where, across the board dialogue for the country is essential. But we saw what happened as far as the APC is concerned, as far as the opposition is concerned, certainly constant attempts for there to be, some kind of a dialogue are rebuffed. Do you think that that's ever going to change? Because recently, of course, we had a statement coming from the former Prime Minister that he was willing to talk. But do you see that actually translating? Because then of course it's followed by a lot more abusive discourse again.
Thank you very much, Mahrukh. The actual thing that we look at our history, we do have a history of intolerance politics in early 60s, and then we have seen what happened in late 80s to 90s. I mean, we had a very bad era in terms of political, and enmity, and where we have seen so many accusations, putting blaming on each other. Now, if we look at the recent times, yes, there is no doubt there is polarization in the political culture, which is very harmful for the country, and especially it is harmful for the democracy in the country. I mean, politicians needs to understand that if they will keep accusing each other, if they will follow the intolerance, if they will go for personal attacks, if they will go for personal character assassinations, eventually it will harm the democracy, it will harm the trust of the people on democracy. This is the main thing. And second thing is that yes, there is no problem having a differences being a opposition or in the government. Yes, you could have a difference of opinion with the policies or with the way government is running.
But Dr.
There is no
Hamid,
doubt.
when you don't even want to come and talk, when you don't even want to sit on the same table and talk about issues like economy, how are you going to then move towards have tolerating each other? And then your followers and the kind of discourse, generally speaking, between people of different political affiliations is generally also alarming to an extent where people, I think it's become scarier for a lot of people
Yes,
to voice their political thoughts or their political opinions.
yes.
I know, for instance, it's become, it's scary to actually have an opinion and voice it at a public forum, because the kind of abuse that comes forward, you have to be able to have
Yes.
some courage to tolerate it.
Mahrukh, it is damaging the social fabric of our own culture, that we are not tolerant of difference of opinion, and we become so much disrespectful to our elders, or if we have a difference of opinion, we are going to any extent. This is not tolerable. This is not acceptable, and this is not what our religion teaches us. This is not what a democracy teaches you. This is
But do you
not
think
what our
it's about? But do you think it's just as in it's the politicians who have contributed to it largely, unfortunately, or do you think it also has to do with our society generally speaking, or it's a spillover effect?
To be honest, it is a bit of both, but I will mainly blame our politicians, because politicians are responsible for the, not only for the democracy, also having a kind of a training for the nation towards their characters. So politicians are mainly responsible for this thing, but on the other hand, we have other issues going on in our democracy or in our society, where there is so many other reasons for intolerance, economical issues, stress levels, then so many other issues are there. So it needs to be addressed as a very immediate problem, that
But
why
how
this.
do you think it can be addressed? What's your opinion? I mean, how do you deal with it?
The best thing is that there has to be a proper, I should say that there should be a proper campaign by the government and by the civil society, where they will have to launch a campaign where they can teach, let the people know that there is no problem having a differences, but do
They,
not go to at extent where you cut out your relations,
no,
where you become
Dr. Hamid,
egoistic for.
let me come back to you. Ji, Abdullah Sahab, there is, isn't it coming directly from political leaderships? Then it is permeating, into the society. It's permeating into your political discourse, and then the society. How does the civil society stop it?
See, Mahrukh, unfortunately, Mr. Imran Khan has created a social imbalance in the society, and it is definitely infiltrated in the masses. And you can't blame the people. They have been, he thinks he's a popular leader, and he has given such kind of statements in public, in large public. So he thinks that he's above the law. And that is quite alarming, because he used to give examples of Western democracies where if a PM is ousted by the law, then he has to face it and he doesn't whine about it. But we have seen that he has been shifting blames. First he used to blame the West, and then he shifted blame to someone else. So that was very unfortunate thing, and this is it's certainly not healthy for any democracy. And even the countries whom we are going and meeting and asking for help, they won't take us seriously, because they will see that there is no sustainability in Pakistan, that a party, that a former prime minister is up to a sort of madness, where he is dissolving two provincial assemblies just to create a political chaos, and which he did. Actually, he has created a constitutional crisis in Pakistan, which is, I don't know where it will land up, but point is, this is unfortunate, and Imran Khan should, at least for the sake of the country, he should at least sit with his political opponents, and he should have that kind of, or maybe someone from his second tier leadership could advise him that this is.
You are talking about his opponents. He is not even ready to talk with his own companions.
That's true.
He makes his decisions by his own.
That's true. So he's a very rigid kind of
and yet there is a lot of talk about Naveed Sahab, about PTI being a parliamentary party, it being a democratic party. Whereas it doesn't seem to be. I mean, of course, like you are saying, the orders are strictly coming from him. They have to be followed. We saw what happened as far as the Jail Bharo Tehreek is concerned. As far as his own movement, being in Zaman Park is concerned, not surrendering himself, asking his people to sacrifice their own freedom. So all of those things, unfortunately, seem to indicate that it's rather not a democracy at all.
He believes in dictatorship. His attitude, his temperament is dictatorial. Totality is his base and theme. He says that he is a democratic politician, but he is otherwise. He makes all of his decisions without consultation of his companions. Even then, if they give him any consultation or any suggestion, he throws the suggestions and he goes otherwise. Like in the case of coming out of the National Assembly.
Yes, exactly. That's something, again, there's a lot of reports that a lot of his own people were against that decision.
Pervez Khattak, Chaudhry Pervez Ilahi and many others asked him not to go from the parliament and not to throw the provincial assemblies, both KPK and Punjab Assembly. But he didn't hear, and he did what he wanted to do. What happened then? He suffered in National Assembly and in KPK Punjab Assemblies separately. Those who have been suggesting him not to come out, they were true, and their behavior was completely democratic as far as the suggestion and remaining in the assemblies was concerned. But even unfortunately, whenever he goes for any decision, after taking those wrong decisions, he even doesn't think of it. It is time then who proves that he was wrong, but he is not ready to learn anything out of his wrongdoings.
Dr. Hamid, how do you know, overall, there's a lot of criticism about, you know, and a lot of discussion about the politics of the 90s, after which, of course, there was, you know, the political parties learned to coexist, and, you know, the main political parties being PMLN and BPP of that time. You know, they learned to have democratic alliances, all of those things, because, you know, they wanted, regressive politics was something that they wanted to step away from. Isn't that true? And now, do you feel that we're going backwards again to that kind of, you know, abusive discourse, that kind of, unfortunately, you know, politics, which is something that we walked away from consciously?
Yeah, definitely, it's going back to worse now, and I mean, there is. I would say that unfortunately, the culture of political, or dictatorship in the political parties is in all our main political parties. We cannot blame one party actually for it, but the main thing is that it is damaging the trust of the people on democracy, the trust of the people on the system, and that is what politicians needs to understand, that if they want to run the politics as their private limited companies, if they want to have political parties like a private limited companies, it's not going to be beneficial for the country or for the people of Pakistan. And on the other hand, the intolerance will get increased and increased if there will be egoistic problems from the political parties leaderships. So these are the things which they need to understand. And unfortunately, whenever we have dictatorship in the country, and we always know that, I mean, it was appreciated by the public in the initially, because people were getting fed up of democracy, what they were doing, what they did in late early 90s or mid 90s.
The
Assassin.
infighting between politicians is certainly, you know, at its own cost. One has to agree with that.
Yes, that's.
Hmm.
And one more thing I would say,
Hmm.
if we can have uh, in our political system, then we should understand that now the youth is very active, very educated, and they to the real story, they reach to the real conclusions. So we cannot keep the hiding the facts from them. And I think
But
this is
Dr. Hamid,
what.
I want to talk more about this. But on that note, isn't that true, Abdullah Sab? We say on the one hand that, you know, youth is very active and they do, but then on the other hand also there is a lot of wrong information or misinformation also that is spread every day, and that is, you know, out there on the internet, particularly in the political arena, you know, as far as particular individuals is concerned, and it's added to, it's like propaganda, which is, you know, consciously built upon by political parties. Particularly, we've seen, unfortunately, you know, opposition has come up with a lot of things against people in the political arena, which are simply inaccurate or you know, true. Even across the board, that also has to be stopped, and I think that's perhaps the first step towards dealing with this kind of thing.
True, Mahrukh. Actually, it's if you just compare it with how Trump dealt with his social media account, and how he passed on this negativity in masses. It has been similar to what Imran Khan has been doing since couple of years. That the social media is, I believe, it's a very informative and very positive platform which can be used in a good way, and it's a very new thing which youngsters and the youth have been indulged in. But point is that he has been using it in a negative way.
Let me ask you, do you feel secure voicing your opinion politically on your social media, accounts? Is it easy? I don't think it's easy for anyone today.
It's definitely not easy, and it's definitely not easy for a lot of women, I guess, because I have seen a lot of abuses for any particular
even journalists
or
women journalists are targeted,
giving their personal views, which is their right. Which is their right, and the way they have been, and there have been couple of incidents, couple of names where they have been constantly bashed about their raising their personal views, and there has not been any condemnation from the leadership. So that is also very alarming.
In fact, you feel there is, it's something that's done to please the leadership. To
please the leadership, exactly.
And that is very unfortunate, Naveed.
One more thing, Mahrukh, I would like to say that talking about this National Assembly thing where Imran Khan, he didn't even let Shah Mahmood Qureshi contest the election for PMship in Parliament because he thinks that he is the only one in party or in Pakistan who is eligible for PMship. So this is the dilemma. And secondly, after resigning from Parliament, when you see that during the by-elections of 7 seats, he contested 6 out of 7 seats by himself. Right. So he thinks that he is the only one who can get votes. He is the only one popular in the party, and no one else is capable of contesting elections. So this shows the mindset, the dictatorial mindset of Mr. Imran Khan, and now as you can see that he's not even attending the hearings of courts, and he's thinking that he's above the law.
The arrogance, of course, is something that has been talked about, Naveed Sahib. It's also, you know, of course, dictating a lot of decisions that are then taken, you know, courts being one of them.
We were talking about the elections, 7 or 6 seats. It also reflects, it doesn't reflect the strength of PTI, it reflects the weakness of PTI, that none of them are in the position to contest elections in their constituencies. And Imran Khan himself goes for those contests. But Imran Khan is in trouble within the PTI. There are 6 groups in PTI which are really threat for Imran Khan. Number 1, Pervez Khattak group, serious threat for the premiership. Shah Mahmood group, Asad Umar group, and Fawad Chaudhry himself, and the most serious is Parvez Ilahi. He believes, and all of them, they are waiting for the disqualification of Imran Khan or any punishment for Imran Khan, and the one, Parvez Ilahi, will be the first person who will hijack the party. I would say he can hijack the party within a week once Imran Khan is disqualified, and all of them are desperately waiting for it. In particular, out of the party, Parvez Ilahi, and within the party, Shah Mahmood Qureshi. Both have very strong relations.
Parvez Ilahi has joined the party.
Yes, he is, but he has come out of...
He's also now become the...
he's the president.
He's the president.
Though he has become the...
And I have sympathies for them.
Party, but he came from PMLQ recently.
Right, that's true.
Yes. And both Parvez Ilahi and Shah Mahmood both have very strong connections with establishment, and they are waiting for the disqualification. That is why Imran Khan is not going to face courts, and he is afraid of the police arrest as well, because he believes once he is arrested, he will be presented in the court, and the court will go for the proceedings. And his cases, Toshakhana case, Tirian case, and foreign funding case will be enough for him.
But there are other politicians who have gone to jail.
He is not a genuine politician.
And then there are, you know, if you talk about even PPP leadership, or you talk about the PMLN, you know, Maryam Nawaz herself,
Zardari Sahib himself, he have been in jail for 11 years.
Shahid Mohtarma Benazir Bhutto, being a woman, she was in jail, in Sakkar jail. She was there, and she felt sick over there, and she witnessed, you know, hard times. And
Nawaz Sharif Sahab, Maryam, and many
Nawaz,
other
Maryam
politicians.
Nawaz and Nawaz Sharif Sahab came knowing, you know, they walked out
will be thrown in
of the aircraft knowing that they would be arrested. So I mean, you know, and I don't know, the fact that his followers, I have to go to Dr. Hamid also, come to court, and the way that they surround him, you know, is something that is surprising, because all the political parties have, you know, that many followers, or perhaps more, who can then, you know, help them evade
This is what Chief Justice Islamabad High Court, he has categorically said that if you bring 2,000 or 3,000 your supporters, you will be in threat because of all those, not because of the...
But let me go to Dr. Hamid. The point is, Dr. Hamid, that when Maryam Nawaz and Nawaz Sharif Saab were, you know, attending hearings, even when she was attending her hearings alone, the point is there were barricades placed, and all the followers, all her followers, all the people who supported her were categorically told to stay back by herself. And you know, she walked with 2 or 3 people, she walked alone into the courts. She stood there, she faced the courts, she answered, you know, the questions that were asked of her, she walked back. It's not difficult for people of that, you know, leadership of that magnitude to have, you know, thousands of people accompanying them to break the barricades. You know, that behavior has to be encouraged by the leadership for it to happen. If the leadership itself discourages it, steps away from it, disassociates itself from it, then it will not happen. You agree, right?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, as far as facing the courts, I fully agree that Imran Khan should go for court hearing, that he should face the whatever the charges are. There's no doubt about it. But there is one more thing. I mean, we're not. As Imran Khan's political strategy, we cannot, do a very conclusive comment on him, because we believe that he thinks his own way. He has his own political strategy and techniques. So, as if it's a failure, he will face for it. If it goes in favor of him, again, it is his political strategy. But as far as the point I am trying to understand is that there has to be a harmony in the political culture. It is not one person we can blame. I'm very sorry, if we will only target Imran Khan, it will not help the political culture. Because if we will, if Mr. Abdullah or other person is thinking that only Imran Khan can be blamed for the entire polarization in the society, I think it will be unfair, because there is very clear division in the political system. Not, when we have seen examples in past that there was so much dictatorial steps taken by the PMLN party and PPP as well, and so has Imran Khan. I'm not favoring anyone.
But are we? I'm going to let Abdullah Saab answer it, because he is here on behalf of PPP. But do you think overall that there is, were things the same before we saw the PTI become a part of the political arena?
No, I think Pakistan was going in the right direction, and there was much more harmony during 2010 and 2013. People were doing business, and the economy was flourishing, and there was no such political division in the country. And the way he was injected in this political field, I mean, and I don't understand where People's Party has given this kind of attitude towards its political opponents. We have signed Charter of Democracy with our political rivals. That was the reason how democracy continued. So we have sacrificed our own personal. Zardari Sahib was the first one to visit 9-0 in MKM headquarter after winning elections, just because he wanted political consensus. He had the numbers, but he wanted political consensus. He included Parvez Elahi in his cabinet, regardless of very diverse political opinions. But that was because he had political wisdom. He was not thinking about his own self or his own party. He was thinking about Pakistan. So there is a big difference between how People's Party has treated his political opponents and how Imran Khan has treated his political opponents.
Mahrukh, we were talking about the polarization. Our friend was asking that Imran Khan should not be blamed. I think he should be blamed, because polarization was already there in Pakistani society, but he has multiplied it. We were expecting, the whole of the Pakistani society was expecting that Imran Khan is being injected and he will be giving some relief to the society and to the democratic system. But he did otherwise. He could not give that sort of relief. And he has disappointed everybody. All the institutions, and every Pakistani is disappointed because of the Imran Khan's behavior of multiplied polarization. So I would blame Imran Khan, and I would say that he has destroyed the social fabric of Pakistan, and he has destroyed the norms and values of democratic system of Pakistan.
The point is, was it blaming institutions the way that they are blamed today?
He will have to mend his ways to give or to deliver something to the society and to the country. He will have to mend his ways, and he will have to think 100 times before he utter anything or he go for any statement.
But Naveed sahab, now we are where we are. Do you think we'll be able to go back from here? Because
we are going back. Definitely, we are going back, which is which is very unfortunate. We are moving in 21st century, but we are not going in a dignified way, in a graceful way. We will have to look towards China.
Fortunately or unfortunately, politics is entrenched very deeply in our society, and for things to get better, we need our politicians to take a very active role in moving away from this kind of polarization. Unless that happens, unfortunately, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to be a difficult battle,
Mahrukh, in fact, the rule of law and the constitution is the supreme thing which should be followed. If you want to run this country in a dignified way, like the countries are being run in Europe or in China or in America, we'll have to follow those lines. Unfortunately, Imran Khan is behaving in a different way. He doesn't believe in the rule of law or he doesn't believe in the constitution. The constitution or law which suits to him, he says it's okay. But the one which goes in...
And which institution suits him also, he
definitely
says that, is okay, and the rest. Let me go to Dr. Hamid. Dr. Hamid, but what about, stepping away from this kind of politics, choosing to step away from this kind of politics? We talk about economic charter, but there's a charter of politics also perhaps needs to be developed, which ensures that there is a working relationship, which ensures an opposition that is present in the parliament, that believes, we talk about democratic traditions, that comes up with alternative measures, comes up with concrete proposals, concrete criticisms that are not just name calling or picking up chairs and throwing them at each other, or the abusive discourse, unfortunately that's become a part of our political discourse, but are centered on actual solutions. We've seen, of course, we can't compare ourselves to the UK or, other democracies, but if we want to emulate them, if we want to move towards that kind of an atmosphere, we have to learn that there needs to be dialogue, there needs to be, dialogue on policy measures, on concrete proposals, those things.
Mahrukh, it is very much essentially required that there has to be political harmony between the political parties. Not only that, now, I mean, if we look into the constitution of Pakistan, it allows, everybody to have their own political, but not at the cost of maligning each other, not at the cost of polarizing the society, not at the cost of, creating such a big differences that what we are talking, that they are looking very hard to recover now. So this has to be addressed, and it has to be addressed on a very wide range. We cannot, I always think that when it comes to the political system, then all the political parties are responsible to maintain the democracy in the country, because this is how it will work for Pakistan. We have to look at our other issues, economical issues, our security issues, our issues with our neighbor countries, regional issues, then other issues. So if we will not have harmony within the country in terms of political stability and in terms of our social fabric, it will really very much harmful for the country. So I believe that it is a time for a dialogue. Let them, everybody sit together. If somebody is not willing to sit together, still we should be able to send a proper message that the nation is looking for a dialogue where everybody should make a decision with a consensus.
Mahrukh, I would add something with my brother. In fact, we don't need any more consensus. Oh no, we have a consensus on. If we have consensus on constitution, after having constitution consensus, we need not any charter. The entire complete charter is constitution which we have. If we follow that constitution, I don't think we'll be derailed.
Okay.
So in the enforcement or in the following of that constitution, we will be in the right direction, and the country will be in the right direction if we follow, and if the constitution is implemented in the entire country, irrespective the poor or the rich. So the charter of democracy
but
is.
My question is, if you can't respect institutions
we will have to. The institutions will have to make it applicable.
You say that election commission has to is the primary responsible is responsible for the elections. You talk about that, you say that Abdullah Sahab, do you agree? I mean, of course, election commission, but then you have this disagreement with the election commission, then you cast slurs on the election commission, then when you don't succeed, particularly the Karachi elections that happened just now, the PTI said they don't agree with the results.
Because they shrinked in Karachi, their vote bank shrinked. And this is what I need to say, that Khan Saab should realize that his popularity is not rising. His popularity is, I think it's sinking. The recent statement of Zardari Saab that the elections which in by-election in Punjab which PTI won the seat, it was only because of this rising inflation. Otherwise their narrative is not being sold as it was earlier. And I would say what more tolerance would Imran Khan need? Prime Minister Shehbaz, he invited himself on APC for APC, and then unfortunately due to an earthquake in Turkey, he had to postpone that APC, but he declined. So
yes,
if this is the attitude towards an economic crisis which ultimately the country is facing, so that shows that how
the priorities
how
small
the
you
dialogue
have.
is ultimate. Supreme Court, Constitution, Parliament, and the dialogue. These are the fundamental things which should be followed. Unless you go for the dialogue, you cannot get any solution. So Imran Khan is...
But do you think he's realizing it?
No, I don't think he realizes.
Because he's mentioned now, saying that he's agreeing to talk to other the latest that he said. But then that's also been forwarded by a new demand of general elections. So, we don't know if it's a serious
no, he is not serious. In fact, when he was in the parliament, he was not ready to talk to any person. When he was out of the parliament, he is not ready to talk to any person. Then how will you come to the conclusion of any problem when you are not ready to talk? You will have to talk. You are a politician and you will have to behave like a politician to come to any conclusion. You cannot put this country and the nation in chaos any longer, because uncertainty, instability, chaos, turmoil are very, very dangerous for the country and the nation. And he will have to come on the dialogue.
One more thing, Mahrukh, during the Second World War, when Churchill was told that there is a lot of anarchy going on in the UK, so one thing he asked, are the courts functioning? Are they giving justice? So he was told that yes. So he was like, then there is nothing to worry about. So if today, if the courts are giving justice and they are being they be equal with Imran Khan, then I think things will be fine. But if they give him a special treatment and they give him a special kind of response, then I guess there will be very difficult situation for the political area as well.
If because the courts are not giving justice to all the Pakistanis, all the citizens equally. If he is given any leverage, and in the same case, the political opponents are not given the balance leverage, the country cannot move ahead, I think. So the courts will have to think all around that we are not going to destroy this country. They will have to focus on the rule of law and the constitution. And what Maryam Nawaz has said, the balance of justice. So the balance of justice will have to create in the society if we want to move ahead.
Ji, Dr. Hamid, what is your overall opinion, your comments about, you said, all political parties need to perhaps take a step back and work on a charter of, politics perhaps, democratic charter which the PPP, PMLN agreed on at a time, perhaps is, that way is perhaps the order of the day.
That is the thing, that they have to sign a kind of charter of ethics in politics, and that will be help to pave the right way for the democracy. When it comes to the talking about the decisions by the courts, I think we have in past every political party have criticized one way or the other to the decisions, but I think we should keep trusting our our judicial system, and we cannot comment about it as far as the judiciary is working on their own. But yes, we do not have a very good history for so many other controversial decisions in past. But again, this is what we have. We have to rely on it. And as far as political maturity is concerned, I think all the political leadership, all their followers, their workers, they all have to show respect for each other. They all have to show maturity for each other, and they all have to have a kind of ethics, undeclared ethics to follow, where they should not do the personal character assassination. They should not blame each other. They should not wash the dirty laundry across the country. I mean, that is very painful when I see some of the particular person where they are talking about countries' interests, very important things, and they are talking on a international forums, and it hurts the reputation of the country. That should not be allowed, and that should never happen.
Dr. Hamid, also, we've seen recently there is, talking against hate speech or abuse generally. Perhaps we need, I mean, we've seen there, bans on speeches. Perhaps that is something, of course, no one supports blanket bans, but the point is that when your speech becomes so abusive that it's having such a detrimental effect on society, perhaps there's really no other choice.
To be honest, I'll tell you, it could reverse effect as well in nowadays when the social media is very strong, when all other platforms are very strong. So if anybody thinks by banning on a television would be able to solve the problem, I think that would not solve the problem.
But
Yes, hate speech has to be condemned. Hate speech has
I
to
would
be
differ, my
stopped.
brother, I would differ on it.
Unfortunately, what is the alternative then?
The alternative line is that Imran Khan should realize that it's not his cup of tea, that he is trying to maneuver everything in his favor, and he's trying to just create a chaos in the country so that ultimately the power is handed over to him. It won't happen. This is democracy, and Pakistan has faced worse situations, and I believe that inshallah we will get out of this situation and we'll get out of this economic crisis as well. But for that we are going in the right direction. The recent visit of Prime Minister in Qatar, and he had the way he pitched Pakistan over there, and we have
and
some
we saw
good news
what
coming
happened with
up.
the climate conference also.
Exactly.
That
So
the way that the Pakistan cause was pleaded there also is unprecedented.
Exactly, and the way Foreign Minister Bilawal Saab has rebuilt the image of Pakistan internationally, and he has filled the gaps which were like earlier created by Imran Khan, and Imran Khan has he ruined the relations of Pakistan with China, with US and the West. So all these countries were allies of Pakistan. So alhamdulillah, things have moved in the right direction, and I see good times ahead.
Whole of the system is trying to make Imran Khan understand his behaviors, his political style, his ethics of speech. But I don't think that if he is banned on different channels or his speech is banned on different channels, he will learn anything. I don't think it is a wrong decision. It's the right decision. He should have been banned long time before, but he has learned nothing out of that. He will have to learn for the sake of the country and the nation.
Definitely. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have. Thank you for joining us, Mustafa Baloch Saab. Thank you for being with us. Naveed, Aman Saab, thank you for joining us. Dr. Hamid Almashriqi, thank you for being with us today. Overall, of course, there don't seem to be two opinions on the fact that we need to have political dialogue, we need to have tolerance, we need to have, maybe a political charter for there to be some safety in political discourse that can actually translate into concrete measures that may benefit Pakistan without this kind of abusive discourse that has permeated the political realm to a level that it's alarming. Let's hope that we can work towards that. Let's hope that we can go there. Thank you so much for joining us today on Perspective.